So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Marina Corman. Those who have joined our WebExes before already know me. I am, as Matthias just told you, a certified Salesforce instructor, which means that I have been trained and certified by the Salesforce University. I have more than 12 years of experience in CRM, mostly Salesforce. And I have been a Salesforce expert since 2012. I have done guest lectures at Thomas More and Ho West high schools, focusing on Salesforce as a CRM platform and also the marketing cloud. Right, so this is the agenda for today. So we'll be talking about administering reports and dashboard visibility, which is a bit different in Lightning than it used to be in Classic. We will apply report types. We will discuss how you can import fields. We will also give you an overview of how you can design a filtering strategy. So which filters can you apply? What are the limitations? And what are the things you need to watch out for? Then we can create and show you and modify the surface report charts and the dashboards. And then we'll go a bit deeper into the real fun and technical stuff like creating buckets, using grouping and custom summary formulas. I will also, and that's only for those with admin rights, how you can create custom report types. That is very useful if you really want to bring out the most in your reports and dashboards. And of course, I will also show you how you can create the dashboard components, the new layout, etc. So, since this is a live demo, it's a hands-on demo basically. I'm now going to switch my screen to a Salesforce environment and we can start. So, as you can see, I've already logged into my, but this is just a test environment. And I have already clicked on my reports tab. Now, I assume everyone knows where to find their reports and dashboard tabs. If not, just a small recap. If you don't see it here on top, you can just click more and it might be under there. If you still don't find it, you can click the 9 dots here to start with and then just do a search, reports, and it will pop up here. So this is where all our reports are sitting. It looks a bit different than what you're used to in Classic. And security has become more prominent in the Lightning version and definitely also for reporting. But the good news is that for Lightning reports, we can add tiered folders. So why don't we just show you how to do that? So I'm not going to go into this. I mean, you can all read, I assume, so you know the difference between recent and created by me. So if we create a new folder, we just use the button here. And let's say that we are going to create a report folder, which is called My Sales Reports. Okay, so we all know that we don't have to type anything in the folder unique name. You just push tab and Salesforce fills it out for you. Now we click save. What's also new is the breadcrumbs here at the top. So you can now see that we're in all folders, and within all folders we've created this folder. Right? We can even do more. We can create a folder within a folder. So I'm now going to create a new folder in there, and this is going to be my opportunity reports. Again, I'm going to use tab. This make sure that there are no errors in the unique name, and I'm going to press save. So as you can see, all folders, my sales reports, and I now have my opportunity reports. You can see by the breadcrumbs, you can always follow where you are. Now about the sharing of these folders. Okay. What you need to know is that you can only set sharing on the main folder, which means this one. How do I do that? I just click on the little arrow at the bottom, or just at the end of the row, and I click share. So I can share this folder and all the subfolders with either users, one or more, roles, which is based on the role hierarchy, roles and subordinates, which means that everyone in a certain role and the roles underneath will have access to this folder, and I can also give access to public groups. Okay. So if you don't know what the difference is between all those, just go and talk to your Salesforce admin. Maybe he needs to create a specific group to give access to report folders. But in theory, it's basically very simple. Public groups, they contain a number of people, and if you just want to have all those people included in the sharing, you can just add this public group. Now I'm just going to do users because this is a demo org and I haven't set up groups. So here I can find names, and in my demo org there are only 3 people. That's me, my integration user, and my security user. So I'm going to add my integration user to this folder, and right here I'm going to set the level of security that I want to give to this user. Now we've got view access. View access means that the user with this access can use the reports in the folder but cannot save new reports in that folder. If he wants to save them, you need to give him edit rights. Okay? But if you are an admin and you say, well, I just have to create a whole bunch of folders for my organization, I'm just not going to manage all of them, meaning adding new users, deleting users, etc., you can grant the manage rights to someone else. Okay, so that person, in this case my integration user, will be able to change the visibility, to include new users, to delete other users. And right here at the bottom, if I do share, I can see who has access to my folder. Okay, I'm now clicking done. And the same sharing model also goes for my opportunity reports. You can see I can view my shares, but I cannot set a different sharing for the subfolders. Okay, so we've got that out of the way. So let's create a new report. Okay, we need to start somewhere. So I am going to create an opportunity report. I'm just going to type up, and this is my opportunities. I'm going to do continue, and this is my, well, it's not that brand new, it's been around for a few months now. It's the new report builder. Now it's got all the functionalities of the old one, but sometimes it's in a different place. So first of all, I would like to go through the new builder with you so that to make sure that you know where you can find everything if you need to create your own reports. And well, then we go into the more specific things. One thing that's new is that from within the report builder, you can give your report name. So I'm just going to call this my opportunities this year. And I just do enter. And I've already given it a name. Okay, that's easy. If I'm creating a lot of reports, I can do it straight when I start. Good. So secondly, you know that this is a preview window, so this doesn't contain all the records that you have in your report. This is just to show you, when you press save and run, it will look like this. Okay. Here are my columns. That is new. And the good thing is that you can do your column maintenance from within this section. So let's start doing a bit of maintenance. I don't need type. I don't need lead source. So I just click on the X's. I don't need next steps. What else don't I need? I don't need an owner role because it's empty. And I don't need an opportunity owner because it's just me. What I can also do is move about some of the columns. So for me, fiscal periods, I want to have it, but not there. So I can just change the location by just using my mouse, clicking on it, dragging it to a new place, and just letting go. And then you can see here in my preview window that it adapts to what I just did. Okay. I don't care about probability either in this report. I can just delete it. And these are my columns that I am going to work with. But hang on. I wanted to use type and I just deleted it. I can very easily find it again. Here I can do type. And it just says, okay, which one of the two do you want to use? I want to use this one. And the opportunity type will nicely set itself back at the end of the row. Now there's another way to add fields, and if you've got quite a number of fields in your object, it's not always easy to remember what was the exact name of the field. So in this case, we can go to our side panel, fields here. If we click on the arrow, it expands. And this is probably very familiar to you because this is what we also had in Classic. So I can search for fields. And we've got a lot more field types that make it easier to define, do I want this field or is it another field with the same name but with a different field type? So let's just quickly go over it. If you see an A, it means text field. If you see type or at least this little box here, it means it's a drop-down list. It's a pick list. Okay. Little hashtag, of course, is an amount. The checkbox is the little V-shaped thingy. And of course, if I need a date, it's going to be the little calendar icon. So again, it's been made a bit more user-friendly by allowing you to have the same name, maybe for technical fields, but with a different field type. So how do we add them? Well, let's see, what am I going to add? Ooh, I can do industry. So I can double-click on industry, and it will add itself right in front of the row. Okay. So if you're done picking all the fields that you need, you can click this little X and the panel will fold again. Okay. Now, of course, you know that we can do grouping. We can do grouping based on name or by industry. And the way you're used to doing that is by clicking the little arrow and using group rows by this field. And it still works perfectly. Okay. But there is another way of using or creating groups, and that's just by searching for the field you want to group on. So if I say I want to group on, I don't know, 1, then I have a second grouping, as you can see here, 1. I can move them about, I can change them from place. So it's a bit easier to manage. And if you say, oh, I don't want that anymore, you can just click the X and it goes away. So that's still pretty straightforward. It's probably a repetition of what you've already known, maybe in a new view that you're not so accustomed to. But there is another one, an important one, and that is our filters. Okay, so our filters can be found here, and we have our standard filters, definitely for opportunities. We've got all opportunities. We've got, for which date range do we want to see them. Now, I typically put them on created date and all time. As I said, this is a demo environment. You would probably have a more restrictive view on the data that you want to see in your report. Okay. My colleague Matthias just informs me that my battery is running low, so he's quickly running out to get me a cable, but we can still continue. All right. So I can create a new filter by just clicking here and looking for the field that I want to filter on. So let's say I want to filter on type, and I want to say equals new customer. Okay, then I can do apply. And now I only see my new customers. If I check here at the back, I can see my type is only new customers. Okay. Now this is a bit too restrictive for what I have in mind, so I'm just going to do it away in a minute. But there's something that I want you to see. In Lightning, I can basically, as a reporting admin, I can lock this filter. And if I apply that, my end users, so the people who are going to read my reports, will be able to change these filters, but not this one, not if I put locked on it. So if you definitely want to make sure that they can only see your new customers, you can basically lock a filter. I'm just going to do cancel. Okay, we seem to have an electricity problem here. So let me quickly see how long my battery is still running. It's okay, I still have an hour. Okay, sorry, technical issue. Good. So as I said, I don't want this filter actually. Just I'm going to remove it because I want to have plenty of data to continue with. Okay, so this type of report, as you know, is very interesting to see per group what I have. Now here I've got a lot of information in there, but if I just want to see how many opportunities I have per account, I can here at the bottom click detail rows, and that just gives me a table where it says, well, Edge Communications has 3 opportunities, and Express Logistics and Transport only has 2. Okay, I can bring the detail rows back, of course, by just clicking here, and now they're back. So to make sure that we don't lose what we just did, I am going to do save and run. I don't have to type the name in again because I've already given it the name. I can just click here. And now I have to choose a folder where I want to store it in. Sorry. And since this is an opportunity report, I can go into my sales reports, in my opportunity reports, and I can click select and save. And this is my report. Okay. Now this was just a rehearsal of what is to come. What we have done in this type of report is show all the accounts that have an opportunity. What if I want to create a report that shows me all my accounts, but I only want to have those accounts that don't have opportunities? So basically what I want to show in my report is something that doesn't exist. And normally I would say, I can't do that, except Salesforce allows you to do that. Now the next bit of my demo is basically only for people with some kind of admin rights. Because in order to create this specific report type that you need for that, you need to go into setup, and that is the setup of Salesforce. Okay. So what do? I just type reports here in the setup menu, and I'm going to report types. Now here you've got a small overview and an explanation of what report types does, but I'm just going to show you as we go along. I'm going to create a new report type, and I'm going to select my primary object, and since I wanted to see accounts, my primary object is going to be accounts. Now I need to provide a label, so I'm going to do accounts with or without opportunities. Okay. And I have to give a description. Allow reports to show accounts with or without opportunities. Okay, so in which category do I want to store this? Do I want to store this in accounts or contacts? Well, I'm going to store it in opportunities because it's basically an opportunity report, but you can store it wherever it's convenient for you. You don't have to do the same thing. Now, basically, as long as you're building a report type, it's in development. And once you're done, you can click deploy, but I'm just going to do it immediately, right? So that I don't forget it. I'm going to click next, and this is where the rocket science starts. So my primary object is accounts. Okay, I need to link that to my opportunity. So I'm just going to click here, and I'm going to select my object to which it's linked, opportunities. Now this is the interesting part. My standard report types that come with Salesforce are all of the type. For each A record, I must have at least one B record. They're all like that, which means that with this type of reports, I cannot show what is not there. So I'm just going to use the second option, and here it will show me all my accounts, also the ones that don't have opportunities. So, and with a bit of filtering, I should be able to only see this part and exclude that part from my report. Good, I'm going to save it. Right. Now I can do a lot more things with this, and I'm just going to quickly show you without too much explanation, because I can talk about 2 hours with this report types alone, and that's a bit too long for our WebEx. So what I can do is edit layout, and I can add different sections to it. I can edit the properties. I can rearrange how, so I can say I want to have account name always on top, an account number next to it. So basically I can rearrange how my fields in my fields pane, you know, the one that I just made appear and disappear again, are. What I can also do is add fields which are linked to it by lookup. Okay, this might sound technical, but it will all become very clear if I click here on this. So I can, for instance, for the account owner of my account, I can also show, for instance, his email, which normally doesn't appear in this report type. So if I do this, I've now added an email field, and you see this little looking glass. If you see that, it means that this field was basically added through a lookup. So not standard for this report type. I've just added it. So I just went and grabbed it somewhere and put it in here. Okay. I can also change the name from a certain field. So in this case, I'm just going to mark this field, and I'm going to edit its properties. I'm just going to put it up here. So it now says account owner, emails. I'm running into problems with my battery now. So we definitely need to go and find some kind of, sorry for the interruption. I'm just going to move about a bit. Okay. So this name is very, very long. So what I can do is I'm just going to shorten it a bit and click OK, which means that if I now go and look into my fields, and we're going to do that in a minute, I am going to not see the very long name, but shortened name. So I can do a lot more. I can create sections. I can move about certain fields in certain sections, because sometimes that's easier for the end users who have to create reports. But I'm just going to leave it at this. If you want to experiment with it and you have the right admin settings, then just play around with it and it will be okay. Good. So I'm going to save it. And I now have a brand new report type, which I am going to use in a new report. So I'm going back to my reports tab. I'm going to create a new report. And I'm going to click on opportunities. And if I scroll down, I should be able to, here we go, accounts with or without opportunities. That's the one we just created. I'm just going to click continue. Okay, so we only have two standard fields, the account name, the opportunity name, which is fine. I can add fields if I need them. I'm just curious about, my email. So this should be account owner. Let's just type email and see where. See? Normally, it would have been named account owner email, but since I took away the first part, it's now a lot clearer that this is the account owner's email and not my customer's email. Okay, good. So I told you with this type of report, I can basically select all my accounts that don't have opportunities. And that's what I'm going to do now. So I'm going to go to filters. I'm going to select all accounts. Fine. All right. And I am going to add, and this is called a cross filter. So in order to add a cross filter, I'm going to this little arrow here, and I'm going to say add cross filter. And right here, I can say, I want to see accounts with, or in this case, without. And here, I'm going to look for opportunities. Now, I'm not 100% sure if I have accounts without opportunities, but we'll see what happens. Yay! I have 3, and they don't have opportunities. So I can basically create a report that shows me something that's not there. How cool is that? You can also do this for all your objects in your org. If you want to see accounts without contacts, it might be a good idea to create a report like that just to clean up your data or to go and find all the contact details for your accounts. You can also do, because you can do extra filtering here on this, you can even add an extra opportunity filter on it, say where stage is, I don't know, something else. Another thing is you can do reports on, I'm very sorry, should have switched off my email. For instance, if you want to, I don't know, show opportunities that have closed won but have no shipping date, there's a whole lot of options where you can use this with or without filter. Okay. Now we've used it without, but you can also use it with. So I suggest we go back to our first report. So I'm just going to do close, and I'm going to do discard. Because right now we are going to dive into buckets. Okay, so maybe first explain what a bucket is. Okay, a bucket is a grouping that you create into a specific report. So if you create, like, let's say we're going to do a bucket on industry, because we've got a lot of, we've got quite a few industries. And if I want to show this in a graph, it's not very clear. So I want to make branches. I want to make a government branch or a non-profit branch, or I want to have an electronics branch, everything that has to do with that, or communication. That would make my visibility on my dashboards a lot better than if I were just to use industry as a grouping. And if I create that bucket in this report, I cannot reuse it in another report. So that's something that you have to remind yourself, is that a bucket remains with the report. So let's go to edit. There are 3 types of buckets that you can create. Okay. One is on pick lists. Okay. My industry, for instance, that's a pick list field. Okay. So what I'm going to do is click my little arrow and say, I'm going to bucket this column. What am I going to call him? I'm just going to call him, branch. And right here, I can start creating buckets. So I'm just going to do, I can already see banking. So there's definitely going to be something around finance. I'm not going to do all the buckets, just a few so you can see. So we're going to have a bucket for finance. We're going to have one on communication. And let's say we do another one on non-profit. Okay, so probably not all my industries will fit in these 3 buckets, but of course, if you want to do something like that, the first thing you do is an analysis of what goes where. So I've already got banking, which needs to go into finance. Let's see if we've got more finance stuff in here. Here, we've got another one, finance. I think insurance also has to do with money, so we're going to put that in there as well. And it's just those. So then I go move to, and here I can choose the bucket I want to move it into, finance. So right here, I can see those 3 values have been moved into the bucket finance. Good. Now we're going to do communications. Start at the top. Definitely communications. What else do we have? Yeah, entertainment. That's kind of a communications thing. Media. Yep, they also communicate with us. And definitely telecommunications. So this goes in here, all right? So we've now completed 2 buckets, and in principle, you would also do the rest in buckets, but I'm not going to do that, it's just a demo. You can say, and all the rest for me is other, because I'm only interested in those 2. If you want to see all the rest as is, you leave this blank, and then you do apply. Okay. Now I need to go back to my outline because I want to bring my bucket close to this one so I can see them next to each other. And here you can see what we've just done. Okay, now the stupid thing is that, of course, I probably have to save and run it in order for you to see the difference. Which one did we? Okay, I probably have some filtered too much, but we didn't basically include these into a bucket. We have 31. So that's the first bucket you can create. The second bucket you can create based on amount. Okay. So this is the amount of the opportunities, and I'm just going to look for my biggest value, which is 350. Oh, 915. Okay, good. So I can create a bucket for this as well, and this is size. Okay, so everything smaller than I don't know 100,000. It's going to be small. And then I'm going to add a row because I need something medium. So, sorry, I missed a 0. Everything between 100,000 and 500,000 is medium. And all the rest is large. If I apply that and use my bucket next to my amount, then I can see everything smaller than 100,000 has now denomination small. This one is medium, and I should have a large one as well, and that's this one. Now the third option is for text fields, and for text fields it's maybe a bit more tricky, although the theory is the same. I'm just going to use account groups. And account groups, I'm going to create my first, and that is American. Let's create a bucket. Okay, let's see if we've had... Okay, my second is gene point. Okay, so now I'm going to go to all my, and now I have to basically come up with values. So I can do that like this. So I was looking for American. I don't have any American. Okay, but I do have gene points. Okay, and I also add edge. So everything with gene point and edge is now in my list. So what I can do is, let's assume that my first bucket was called edge, because they all belong to the same group. So I'm just going to move that here. And I'm going to do everything that's related to gene point, because they also belong to the same group. I'm going to put them here. And we do the same as with the other buckets. I'm going to use this and put this next to, where is my account? Oops. Amount. Where's my account name? All the way on top. There we go. So I've got my groups. My edge communication is now all with American, and my gene point also has a group now. See? So I can use these groupings in my dashboards, sorry, as an account group. Okay, so that was it about reports. One more thing, I'm just going to save this one, and I'm going to remove my buckets again because they're of no use for the next demo. I'm just going to move them out of the way. We haven't talked about the matrix report yet. So the matrix report is a very good report if you want to show values next to each other. So what I'm going to do is my close date, which is this one, which is this one, and I am going to say group columns by this field. So not group rows by this field, but group columns. And I have a whole lot of columns now. So this is basically nothing that I can use, but I can say group date by, for instance, calendar month. And now it speaks to me. I can clear out my detail rows. I can say, I haven't made any totals. Okay, that's stupid. Maybe do the totals again first. So I'm going to do the amount and I'm going to summarize it. There we go. Sum up. And now I can remove my row count because I don't need to know how many opportunities I had, but I need to have the amount. So I'm going to close my detail rows, and this is a report that I can definitely use to see how much I made in each month, and this is going into the right direction. Do you see? We started out with 60,000 and we're now at more than 500,000. This also gives you an overview of the totals per account, and these are very good performance reports. Okay, let me just do a save as, and this is performance report. And I am going to put it in here because it has to do with opportunities, and I am going to save it. Okay. So let's close this one. Let's go back to our first report. As you probably have seen, we can add a chart to it. This could be a nice chart, but I can also amend the chart here, and I can say, oh, I want to have a donut. So that speaks more to me. I can add a chart title if I want to. Now it's based on record count. If I would have had a summary, which I didn't do in this report, but in the other one, I could have also grouped it on amount. Okay, so I can also say show values, and then it shows me the values per section. I can show my legend to the right or to the bottom, whatever suits me best, or I can totally remove the chart. Now the cool thing is you don't have to save anything, you just click away and your chart is there with your report. So that's basically a small dashboard if you want. But let's move to our dashboards. So first, again, we have to create folders to put our dashboards in. The same applies to dashboard folders as it did for report folders. So you have to put a sharing model in place before you start putting dashboards in your folders. So if I want to create a new dashboard, I'm just going to give it a name. It's going to be my sales dashboard. Okay, and I am going to, do I have like all folders? Yeah, I'm just going to put it in my private dashboards. Doesn't really matter. Okay, now the cool thing is that I can just click on add component and I can say, okay, I want to have this one in here. And I want it to show up like this. That's fine with me. I can still change this afterwards. I can do another component. This one, yep, that's going to be, okay, I'm just going to need a different type of report, dashboard. Here we go. But I can drag it here. And maybe I just want to put it over here. And I just want to drag out this one a bit so that I can basically read what's in here. And this is how I add reports to my dashboard. So it's as easy as that. If I want to change some of the values in here, I just click my little pencil, and again, I can change the X and the Y axle. I can make amendments here. I can do a subtitle, a footer. I can do a light or a dark dashboard, whatever I like best. And then I do update. When I'm done, I just click save, of course. And then I click done. And this is my dashboard. Now in Classics, you could click on the dashboard and it would take you to the reports. In Lightning, we click on the link at the bottom of the graph, basically. In Classic, you were limited to 20 graphs per dashboard. In Lightning, that limitation is no longer there. So you can put more information on a dashboard. However, I would suggest that you come up with a topic for your dashboard and that you only stick to the reports that link to that topic in the dashboard, because otherwise it's a bit difficult to use. So you could have a sales dashboard. You could have an adoption dashboard to see how everyone's logging in or using the system. You could have, if you have services as well, you can see how many cases were created, what's the lead time between case creation and close time, who of your service agents are closing the most cases. So there's plenty of things that you can do with reports and dashboards. Well, basically, that was it for me. So I want to thank you for being present during our live demo of reports and dashboards. If you have questions about the demo, just shoot. If you have other questions about reports and dashboards, things that we haven't touched upon, or you want to have a personal answer because you're struggling with something specific related to reports and dashboards, just email us and we'll definitely send you an answer. Well, then, thank you again for joining, and hope to see you again in one of our next WebExes.